Isaiah Grant stepped into Apex Dynamics' polished lobby, his jacket masking billions. Receptionist Brenda Holt scowled. "Get lost. Deliveries go around back," summoning guards. Exec Gerald Klein smirked, silent. Security shoved Isaiah out. Brenda's cackle stinging his ears. His face stayed calm, but his phone buzzed. Team alerted. A petty jab was about to torch Apex, reshaping Isaiah from mogul to warrior. What would he unleash next? Before we dive in, where are you watching? From If You Stand for Justice, hit like and subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is unmissable. Isaiah Grant's shoes clicked against Atlanta's humid pavement, the sting of Brenda Holt's words still burning his ears. Get lost. The Apex Dynamics lobby, all glass and arrogance, loomed across the street, a 30-story middle finger to anyone who didn't fit its mold. He adjusted his jacket, a subtle wool blend costing more than most people's rent, and let his pulse settle. That receptionist's sneer, the guard's rough hands, the silent smirk from that suit in the corner. Gerald Klein, he'd later learn, weren't just insults. They were a declaration of war. Isaiah's fingers grazed his phone, the screen, already lit with a text from Tanya Brooks, his chief operating officer. "Team's ready. Say the word." He exhaled, sharp and controlled, like a boxer sizing up a ring. This wasn't about pride. It was about power, and Apex had just picked the wrong fight. 20 years ago, Isaiah had been a skinny kid in a crumbling Atlanta duplex, coding on a second-hand laptop that hummed louder than the roaches skittering across the floor. His mother worked double shifts at a diner, her hands cracked from bleach, while his father's absence left a hole no algorithm could fill. School wasn't much better. Teachers called him trouble for asking too many questions, and classmates slung slurs when he aced math tests. But numbers didn't lie like people did. He'd built his first gene-editing program at 16, a clunky script to predict protein folds, and sold it to a biotech startup for $50,000. That cash became Grant Biotech, now a $10 billion empire revolutionizing CRISPR therapies. Every step he'd dodged the same garbage Apex just threw, assumptions he didn't belong, whispers he'd stolen his success, eyes that saw skin before skill. Today wasn't new, it was just louder. Inside Apex, Brenda Holt leaned back in her swivel chair, manicured nails tapping the reception desk's polished oak. The lobby buzzed with morning chaos, suits rushing to elevators, interns juggling coffee trays, but she soaked in her moment. "Told that guy where to go," she bragged to a co-worker, a wiry accounting clerk named Josh who hovered nearby. Her voice carried a smug lilt, like she'd swatted a fly and deserved a medal. "Walked in here acting all high and mighty, but I know a wannabe when I see one." Josh chuckled, nervous, glancing at the security desk where two guards traded nods. Brenda didn't notice the intern behind her, a college kid named Maya, quietly filming the rant on her phone. "Should have seen his face when security grabbed him," Brenda went on, popping her gum, like he thought he owned the place. Maya's thumb hit upload, and the clip zipped to her social media, tagged with Apex's name and a caption. "Is this how you treat people?" Isaiah didn't know about the video yet. He sat in his rented sedan a block away, Atlanta's skyline glinting. Through the windshield, Tanya's voice crackled through his earpiece, crisp and no-nonsense. "You sure you want to play it this way, boss? We can walk from the merger, no blood." Tanya, a former Navy cryptographer who'd joined him a decade ago, always cut through his storm clouds. But today he wasn't hearing it. "They drew first," he said, voice low, like steel settling into place. "Apex wants to flex? Let's see how they handle a real hit." He tapped his tablet, pulling up Apex's supplier list. Their biotech arm leaned hard on a single firm for lab-grade enzymes, Vitacore, a company Isaiah had quietly invested in last year. One call and Vitacore could choke Apex's production to a standstill. Tanya sighed through the line. "Your funeral. I'm looping in legal." Isaiah's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Make it quick." Back at Apex, the lobby's hum faltered. A junior exec, scrolling his phone by the coffee bar, froze, jaw tight. Maya's video was blowing up, 200,000 views in 30 minutes, now climbing to 5 million. Comments poured in, raw and furious. Racist trash company boycott Apex. Who was that guy? The stock ticker on a lobby screen flickered, Apex Dynamics dropping 7% in a blink. Upstairs, CEO Laura Vance, a polished woman in her 50s, who'd clawed her way from sales to corner office, stared at her monitor, face pale as the numbers sank. Her assistant, a jittery 20-something named Ethan, stammered through a report. "It's everywhere, ma'am. Twitter, Reddit, even news sites. They're calling it a PR disaster." Laura's nails dug into her palm. "Find out who that man was," she snapped, "and get Brenda Holt in here now." Brenda, oblivious, was still at her desk, flirting with a delivery guy, when Ethan's call buzzed through. "Ms. Vance wants you," he said, voice clipped. Brenda rolled her eyes, tossing her hair. Probably another award for keeping this place tight. She sauntered to the elevator, humming, unaware her world was about to crack. In Laura's office, the air felt like a held breath. Gerald Klein, Apex's VP of Operations, slouched in a chair, his tailored suit crisp, but his smirk gone. He'd seen the video, recognized the man he'd watched security manhandle. Not some drifter, Isaiah Grant, the merger partner they'd courted for months. Gerald's gut twisted, but he leaned into damage control. "We can spin this," he said, voice oily. "Say he looked suspicious, no badge, no appointment. People eat that up." Laura's eyes narrowed. "Suspicious? Because of what, Gerald? His skin?" Gerald shrugged, unapologetic. "Works every time." Isaiah wasn't waiting for their spin. He'd driven 10 miles to a quiet cafe, the kind with sticky tables and coffee that tasted like regret. Tanya sat across from him, her tablet glowing with Apex's crumbling stock chart. "Vitacore's on board," she said. "They'll pause. Enzyme shipments by noon. Apex's labs will stall in a week." Isaiah nodded, his mind already 3 steps ahead. Good. Time to turn up the heat. He pulled up a burner email, attaching internal Apex memos he'd gotten from a disgruntled ex-employee months ago, chat logs of managers joking about diversity hires and dodging equal pay laws. He sent them to a blogger known for torching corporate giants. "This hits tonight," he told Tanya. "Let's see how Laura Vance likes the spotlight." He stood, ready to head home, when his phone pinged, a text from his neighbor, Ms. Clara, who watered his plants when he traveled. "Trouble at your place," it read. "Cops here." Isaiah's chest tightened. He sped 20 miles to his Buckhead condo, a sleek high-rise with views most only dreamed of. The parking lot was a circus, 2 police cruisers, lights flashing, and a crowd of tenants whispering behind their phones. Ms. Clara, a retired nurse with grey braids, met him at the gate, her face grim. "Someone smashed your window," she said, pointing to his ground-floor unit. Glass glittered on the pavement and a brick lay inside, a single word scrawled in red paint: fraud. Isaiah's jaw clenched, the air suddenly heavy with Atlanta's summer stickiness. A cop approached, notepad in hand, but his questions felt rote, like he'd already decided Isaiah wasn't worth the ink. "Probably kids," the officer muttered, shrugging. "We'll file a report." Isaiah didn't buy it. He stepped inside, glass crunching under his loafers. The condo, usually his sanctuary, leather couches, bookshelves stuffed with biotech journals, felt violated. The brick wasn't random. It was a message tied to the lobby, to Brenda's sneer, to Gerald's silence. He snapped a photo, sent it to Tanya. "Find out who's behind this," he typed. His fingers shook, not from fear, but from something hotter, sharper. Apex thought they could jab and walk away. They'd learn what a real punch felt like. Up at Apex, Brenda faced Laura's wrath. The CEO's office, all chrome and skyline views, felt like a courtroom. "You humiliated a man on video," Laura said, her voice low, slicing. 5 million people saw it, our stock's bleeding." Brenda's smirk faltered, her hands twisting her bracelet, a cheap silver thing she'd splurged on last month. "He didn't look like anybody important," she mumbled. Laura's laugh was bitter. "Important? He's the merger partner we needed to survive." Brenda's stomach dropped. Isaiah Grant. The name hit like a slap. She'd seen his face, on some Forbes list maybe, but in the lobby. Just another guy, too dark, too confident for her liking. "I didn't know," she whispered. Laura stood, pacing. "You're done here. Clear your desk." Gerald, still in the room, cleared his throat. "We need a statement, Laura. Something about security protocols, not race. Blame the guy, say he was out of place." Laura hesitated, her ambition warring with her conscience. Gerald pressed. "It's him or us." She nodded, slow, like signing a deal with the devil. "Draft it," she said. Gerald's smirk crept back, a snake coiling for its next strike. Isaiah, back in his condo, boarded up the window himself, sweat beading on his neck. Tanya called as he hammered the last nail. "Blogs live," she said. "Memos are trending. Number 1 on Reddit. Apex lost a $20 million contract already." Isaiah's pulse quickened, a hunter scenting blood. The memos painted Apex as a cesspool, managers mocking black hires, women passed over, bonuses skewed white and male. Twitter was a wildfire, hashtags like Apex racism spiking to millions. He should have felt triumph, but the brick's red scrawl, fraud, clawed at him. This wasn't just corporate chess anymore, it was personal, and Apex was swinging back. He sank onto his couch, the city's glow filtering through his blinds. His phone buzzed again, a news alert. Apex Dynamics issues statement on lobby incident. He opened it, scanning the text. "Unfortunate misunderstanding. Heightened security. To measures goes no racial intent. Lies polished and predictable." Isaiah's eyes narrowed. Gerald's fingerprints were all over it. He cracked his knuckles, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Apex wanted to play dirty? He'd bury them in their own mud. Tomorrow, he'd call Vitacor's CEO himself, tighten the noose. Tonight, he'd sleep, if the ghosts of that brick let him. The game was on, and Isaiah Grant didn't lose. Isaiah Grant's condo felt like a fortress under siege, the boarded window a grim reminder of the brick that had crashed through it last night. Atlanta's morning sun baked the city, but inside, the air was thick with his resolve. The word fraud scrawled in red paint haunted him, not because it was true. He'd built Grant Biotech from sweat and code, but because it echoed every slur he'd ever dodged. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, Tanya's name flashing. "Vitacor's out," she said, her voice a blade cutting through static. "No enzymes, no Apex labs by Friday." Isaiah's lips curved, a flicker of satisfaction. Apex Dynamics thought they could smear him and walk away. They'd learn what a $10 billion empire could do when it swung back. He paced the hardwood floor, bare feet silent, replaying yesterday's chaos. The viral video, 5 million views, 7% stock drop, had rattled Apex's cage, and his leaked memos exposing their bigoted managers had cost them a $20 million contract. But that brick, that slur, made it personal. Isaiah wasn't just fighting a company now, he was fighting a mindset, the kind that saw his black skin and assumed he was nothing. He opened his laptop, the screen glowing with Vitacor's latest report. Without their enzymes, Apex's biotech arm would choke. Labs idled, projects stalled, layoffs inevitable. He'd called Vitacor's CEO at dawn, a 5-minute talk that sealed Apex's first real wound. "Make it hurt," Isaiah had said. And the CEO, a friend from his startup days, hadn't hesitated. Across town, Apex's tower glittered under the Georgia heat, but inside, panic seeped through the walls. The 35th floor boardroom smelled of stale coffee and desperation. CEO Laura Vance stood at the head of a mahogany table, her silk blouse creased from sleepless hours. The stock ticker on a wall screen bled red, down 10% since. Opening a fresh cut from Isaiah's memo leak. Her team, 8 execs all pale and fidgety, avoided her gaze. Gerald Klein, the VP who'd smirked through Isaiah's humiliation, leaned back, his tie loose, projecting calm he didn't feel. "We're bleeding," Laura said, voice taut. "Vitacor's gone silent. Our labs are at half capacity already." She turned to Gerald, eyes like flint. "So your spin didn't work, Klein. Twitter's calling us a hate factory." Gerald shrugged, his smirk a ghost of yesterday's confidence. "Fire the receptionist. Brenda Holt. Pin it on her. Say she went rogue. Investors love a scapegoat." Laura's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Brenda was expendable, a small price to save Apex's merger dreams. Downstairs, Brenda was already gone, escorted out by security with a cardboard box of pens and a cheap bracelet. She'd stood in the lobby, stunned, muttering, "I didn't know he was somebody," as co-workers averted their eyes. The news hit social media fast. Brenda Holt fired for racist incident, and for a moment Laura thought it might stem the tide. The stock twitched upward, a 0.5% flicker of hope. Isaiah saw the firing on his phone, a news alert popping up as he sipped coffee gone cold. Brenda's face, all wide-eyed shock, stared back from a grainy photo. He snorted, setting the mug down. "One down," he muttered, but the victory tasted hollow. Brenda was a symptom, not the disease. Gerald Klein, Laura Vance, the whole apex. Machine, they were the real rot, and he wasn't done carving. He tapped his tablet, pulling up a dark web forum where a contact, a hacker named Ghost, waited. Ghost had been feeding him Apex dirt for weeks, scraps from disgruntled coders. "Got something new," Ghost's message read. "Klein's offshore accounts, Bahamas 3 million wired to dodge taxes." Isaiah's pulse quickened. He typed back, "Send it." By noon he'd forward it to a whistleblower site, The Torch, known for gutting corporate lies. But Gerald wasn't idle. In his corner office, all leather chairs and city views, he hunched over a burner phone, voice low. "Dig up everything. On Isaiah Grant," he told a private investigator, a sleaze named Mitch who thrived on dirt. "I want his past, school, streets, anything that sticks." Gerald's fingers drummed the desk, his smirk reborn. The memo leak had burned him, but he'd hit back harder. By afternoon, Mitch delivered a forged juvie record, fake assault charges from Isaiah's teens, cooked up with a bribed clerk. Gerald grinned, uploading it to a right-wing blog under a pseudonym. "Violent thug turned CEO," the headline screamed, paired with Isaiah's Forbes cover. His face twisted to look menacing. Cable news picked it up by 6, pundits chewing over Grant's shady youth like vultures. Isaiah caught it on a diner TV, the greasy air thick with fry oil. He'd driven 15 miles to clear his head, but there he was, his name dragged. Through mud. The waitress, a black woman with tired eyes, glanced at him, then the screen, her frown saying she knew the game. Isaiah's gut churned, not shame, but rage. Gerald hadn't just lied. He'd painted him as every racist cliché, the dangerous black kid who'd somehow conned his way to billions. He paid his bill, left a $20 tip, and stepped into the humid dusk. His phone rang. Tanya, her voice urgent. "Torch. Posted Klein's accounts. Apex's stocks down 10%, investors bailing." Isaiah nodded, stepping toward his car. "Good. Keep digging." He felt the scales tip, Apex wobbling under his heel. Then the sirens hit. 3 cop cars screeched into the diner lot, lights slashing the twilight. Officers spilled out, hands on holsters, barking his name. "Isaiah Grant, step away from the vehicle." The lead cop, a burly guy with a buzz cut, clutched a tablet, Gerald's fake assault tips glowing on it. Isaiah froze, hands raised, heart pounding like a war drum. "This is a mistake," he said, voice steady despite the guns. The waitress watched from the window, phone out, filming. "We got reports," Buzzcut growled. "Multiple witnesses, assault and battery, 1998. Isaiah's mind raced. 1998, he was 14, coding in his mom's basement. Gerald's lie, weaponized. He talked fast, citing his lawyer, Tanya's number. The cops hesitated, crowd growing, phones up. Buzzcut relented. "We'll verify, but the damage was done." Isaiah drove off, free but shaken, the diner's neon sign fading in his rear view. 20 miles away, his cousin Jamal's apartment sat in a quiet Decatur complex, all brick and sagging balconies. Isaiah pulled up, needing family, needing ground. But the air smelled wrong, charred, acrid. Jamal's car, a beat-up sedan, was a blackened husk, windows shattered, hood crumpled. Painted across the side, jagged and white, a swastika glared under the streetlight. Isaiah's breath caught, his knees buckling for a split second. Jamal ran out, unharmed but wild-eyed. "Happened an hour ago," he said, voice trembling. "Cops called it vandalism, didn't even dust for prints." Isaiah clenched his fists, nails biting his palms. This wasn't random. Gerald's smear had lit a fuse, And now hate was burning closer. He sent Jamal to a hotel covering the cost, then sat in his own car, the swastika's image seared into his skull. Tanya called again. "You okay?" she asked, hearing his silence. "No," he admitted, raw. "But I'm not stopping." He opened his laptop, fingers flying. Apex's HR database, a weak spot Ghost had flagged weeks ago, was his next target. He cracked it in an hour, pulling records of discriminatory firings. Black engineers axed for attitude, women denied raises for team fit. He packaged it tight, sent it to a labor lawyer known for class action suits. "This drops tomorrow," he told Tanya. "Apex won't know what hit them." Back at Apex, Laura paced her office, the city's skyline mocking her. Brenda's firing hadn't helped, stock still tanked, clients wavering. Gerald's spin was a bust, and now the Torch's post about his offshore cash had investors screaming. "Klein, you're killing us," she hissed at him, alone in the dim room. Gerald, unfazed, poured a scotch from her decanter. "Relax, Vance. Grant's done. That assault story's got legs. Cops are circling him now." Laura shook her head. Dread pooling. "You don't get it, Gerald. He's not some nobody. He's Isaiah Grant." Gerald laughed, bitter. "And I'm not done either." Isaiah, parked outside Jamal's, stared at his phone. The lawyer's reply glowed. "HR files. Solid. Lawsuit filing at dawn." He leaned back, exhaustion tugging, but the swastika's white lines kept him awake. Apex wasn't just fighting dirty, they were fighting to destroy him, his name, his blood. The cop raid, the car, Gerald's lies, they were punches, and he'd taken worse. But he wasn't a kid in a duplex anymore. He was a titan, and titans hit back. Tomorrow that lawsuit would land like a meteor, and Gerald Klein would feel the quake. Isaiah started his engine, the night swallowing him whole. Apex. Wanted a war. He'd give them annihilation. Isaiah Grant's condo smelled of fresh plywood, the boarded window now a scar on his sanctuary. Atlanta's dawn painted the city gold, but his mind churned with the swastika's white glare burned onto his cousin's car last night. Gerald. Klein's lies, fake assault charges, a thug label splashed across cable news, had unleashed that hate, and the cop raid at the diner still echoed in his bones. But Isaiah wasn't broken. He stood at his kitchen counter, laptop open. The labor lawyer's email glowing, lawsuit filed. 50 plaintiffs. Apex's HR files, proof of biased firings, were a grenade, and Isaiah had pulled the pin. Grant Biotech's $10 billion weight felt like armor today. Apex Dynamics would bleed for thinking they could bury him. He sipped. Black coffee, bitter as his mood, and checked the news. The Torch's expose on Gerald's offshore bribes had Apex's stock down 10%, a wound deepened by his Vitacore supplier cut. Layoffs were hitting their labs, and Brenda Holt's firing hadn't stopped the bleeding. Isaiah's hack of their HR database, exposing years of bigotry, was about to land. He imagined Laura Vance, Apex's CEO, scrambling in her glass tower, her polished mask cracking. Gerald, the smirking VP who'd let security drag him out, would choke on this one. Isaiah's phone buzzed. Tanya, his COO, her voice steady but taut. "Lawsuits trending. #1 on every platform. Apex's board is freaking." Isaiah's chest loosened, a rare moment of lightness. "Let 'em squirm," he said. "We're just getting started." Across town, Apex's 35th floor, boardroom was a pressure cooker. Laura Vance gripped a tablet, her knuckles pale as the stock ticker flashed another dip. The lawsuit had erupted at 8, 50 ex-employees, mostly black, some women, suing for wrongful termination, backed by Isaiah's leaked files. Social media was a slaughterhouse. Apex Sucks hashtags hit 10 million posts, and protesters clogged Peachtree Street below, chanting for justice. Laura's team, 6 execs in rumpled suits, whispered like cornered prey. Gerald Klein, suspended but still slinking into meetings, stood by the window, his jaw tight. "This is Grant," he spat. "He's orchestrating it all." Laura rounded. On him, her voice a whip. "And you let him walk into our lobby like a nobody, Klein. You knew who he was." Gerald's eyes flickered, but he didn't flinch. "Fix it, Laura, or we're all done." Laura's assistant, Ethan, burst in, sweating. Through his tie. "Grant's team called. He wants to talk. Says he'll pause the lawsuit for a public apology." Laura froze, hope flickering. An apology could calm investors, maybe save the merger. She nodded, sharp. "Set it up. Noon, my office." Downstairs, the lobby, once Brenda's kingdom, felt haunted. Employees tiptoeing past security like they expected ghosts. Outside, protesters waved signs. No justice, no apex. Laura stared at the chaos from her window, her reflection gaunt. She'd built Apex over 20 years, outsmarting every rival. Isaiah Grant, though, he was different. A billionaire who fought like a street brawler. She underestimated him once. Not again. Isaiah drove 15 miles to Apex, Atlanta's humidity clinging to his skin. His sedan hummed, a low growl matching his mood. Tanya had pushed back on the truce. "They'll screw you," she'd warned. But Isaiah saw the board's panic as a chance to twist the knife. An apology would force Apex to kneel, admit their rot. He'd pause the lawsuit, let their stock creep up, then hit harder. His tablet pinged. A news alert. Apex Dynamics to issue apology. Stocks stabilize. The ticker showed a 2% bump. Investors sniffing a lifeline. Isaiah's lips twitched, not a smile but a predator's focus. They thought this was the endgame. Fools. At noon, he sat across from Laura in her office, all chrome and ego. She wore a forced smile, her hands folded like a politician's. "Mr. Grant, we're deeply sorry," she began, voice rehearsed. The lobby incident was a grave error, not reflective of Apex's values. Isaiah leaned back, his tailored jacket creased from driving, letting her squirm. The apology streamed live, Laura's idea to control the narrative. Social. Media softened, some calling it a step forward. Isaiah nodded, calm as a still lake. "I'll pause the lawsuit," he said. 48 hours. Prove you mean it." Laura exhaled, relief loosening her shoulders. Gerald, lurking by the door, said nothing, his eyes slits of calculation. Isaiah left the tower, sunlight blinding after the office's chill. His phone buzzed. Tanya, triumphant. "Stock's up 5%. You got 'em, boss." Isaiah felt it, a rush like coding a perfect sequence. The protests were thinning, news cycles shifting. He'd bent Apex to his will, forced their CEO to grovel on camera. He drove home 20 miles, Atlanta's skyline fading in his mirror. His condo welcomed him, the plywood window less oppressive now. He poured a bourbon, rare for midday, and toasted the air. Justice wasn't cheap, but it tasted sweet. Then Gerald struck. In a dingy motel 30 miles away, he sat with a hacker, a wiry guy named Vince who smelled of Red Bull and bad choices. Gerald's suspension hadn't dulled his venom. "Grant thinks he's won," he growled, sliding Vince a thumb drive. "These emails make them look like his." Vince cracked his knuckles, grinning. By midnight, doctored emails hit the dark web. Proof Isaiah had embezzled $50 million from the merger's escrow fund. Gerald fed them to a crooked reporter, and by dawn, headlines screamed, "Grant Biotech CEO tied to fraud." The feds moved, fast freezing Isaiah's accounts at 9 sharp. Grant Biotech servers stuttered, payments stalled, employees unpaid. Isaiah woke to Tanya's call, her voice shaking. "They locked us out, Isaiah. Everything." He stood in his kitchen. Bourbon glass still on the counter, world tilting. His empire, built over 20 years, wobbled under a lie. He checked his tablet. Stock down 15%, clients pulling contracts. His lawyer, a shark named Carla, was already digging, but the damage spread like wildfire. Isaiah's throat tightened, not fear but fury. Gerald hadn't just hit him, he'd hit his people, his legacy. He called Tanya. "Trace those emails now." She hesitated. "There's more. Check the news." He opened his phone, heart sinking. A live feed showed his sister Keisha's clinic, a low brick building in East Atlanta, swarmed by a mob. Isaiah sped 25 miles, tires screeching, the city a blur. Keisha's clinic, a haven for uninsured families, was her pride, funded. By his first big sale, he pulled up to chaos, 50 people, mostly white, chanting "Thug Lover" and hurling rocks. Windows shattered, glass spraying like rain. Keisha stood at the door, a fire extinguisher in hand, her nurse's scrubs torn. Isaiah sprinted through the crowd, shoving past a guy waving a Confederate flag. "Keisha!" he yelled, reaching her as a brick grazed his shoulder, pain flaring. He pulled her inside, barricading the door with a desk. Her eyes, usually fierce, were wet with shock. "They came after the news," she whispered. "Called you a crook, me a traitor." Isaiah's chest heaved, rage drowning the pain. The mob's slurs, nigger, sellout, cut deeper than the brick. This wasn't just Gerald's fraud lie. It was racism, raw and organized, spilling onto his blood. Sirens wailed, late and useless, scattering the crowd. Keisha gripped his arm. "You gotta stop this, Isaiah." He nodded, jaw locked. The feds could freeze his money, but they couldn't freeze his fight. Back in his car, Tanya called, breathless. "Emails are fake, traced to a motel IP, Klein's behind it." Isaiah's grip tightened on the wheel. "Get me something bigger." He met Tanya at a warehouse 10 miles out, a safe spot stacked, with servers humming Grant Biotech's backup data. She handed him a drive. "Ghost pulled this," Klein's text to a hate group, Proud Guardians. "He's been funding them for years." Isaiah's blood ran hot. Gerald wasn't just crooked. He was a zealot, pouring cash into bigots who'd torched Jamal's car, who'd stormed Keisha's clinic. Isaiah uploaded the text to the torch, anonymous but airtight, with a note. "Apex VP bankrolls hate." By midnight, the story broke. Gerald Klein, suspended Apex exec, linked to a militia known for firebombings. Apex's boardroom erupted. 2 directors resigning, stock crashing 15% overnight. Isaiah sat in the warehouse, the drive's weight heavy in his pocket. Keisha was safe, moved to a hotel he'd paid for, but her clinic's broken glass lingered in his mind. Gerald's hate group tie was a kill shot. Apex's merger was dead, their reputation ash. He should have felt triumph, but a new text from Ghost chilled him. "Klein's got a fixer. Curtis Blake, ex-cop, dirty as hell, coming for you." Isaiah's jaw tightened, the warehouse's hum filling the silence. Gerald wasn't done. The mob, the freeze, the lies, they were jabs. Curtis Blake was a blade, and Isaiah knew it had cut deeper. He stood, the city's pulse faint through concrete walls. Apex's stock was tanking, their board fracturing, but Gerald's venom had claws. Isaiah cracked his neck, slow, deliberate. He'd saved Keisha, buried Gerald's secrets, but Curtis Blake loomed like a storm cloud. The lawsuit was paused, the apology won, but it was a false dawn. Isaiah wasn't fighting for pride anymore, he was fighting for survival. He typed a message to Tanya, "Find Blake's dirt. We end this." The warehouse door clanged shut behind him, Atlanta's night swallowing his steps. Apex wanted to play executioner? He'd be their judge. Isaiah Grant's warehouse hideout buzzed with the hum of servers, a lifeline for Grant Biotech, while his accounts stayed frozen. Atlanta's night pressed against the concrete walls, heavy with July's damp heat, but Isaiah's focus was ice cold. Gerald Klein's hate group texts exposed last night had gutted Apex Dynamics. 2 board members gone, stock down 15%, a $30 million client bolting. The mob at Keisha's clinic, their slurs still ringing, had pushed him past anger into something sharper, surgical. Curtis Blake, Gerald's fixer, loomed in Ghost's warning, a shadow waiting to strike. Isaiah cracked his knuckles, the sound, swallowed by the server drone. Apex thought they'd broken him with their lies and bricks. They'd learn he broke harder. He sat at a folding table, laptop open, Tanya's latest report glowing. The torch's leak had fractured Apex's board, and his paused lawsuit, 50 ex-employees demanding justice, hung like a guillotine. Isaiah's truce with Laura Vance, her public apology yesterday, had bought him time. Let Apex think they'd dodged ruin. His accounts were locked, Grant Biotech's stock wobbling, but he wasn't bleeding out yet. Tanya's voice crackled, through his earpiece clipped and urgent. Ghost found Blake's trail. Ex-cop bounced for brutality, now a freelance thug. Klein's paying him 6 figures. Isaiah's jaw tightened. "Get me his moves," he said. "Everything." Tanya hesitated. "You sure?" He's not like Klein. Plays dirty. Isaiah's eyes flicked to a photo on his phone. Keisha, safe in a hotel, smiling despite her clinic's scars. So do I. At Apex's tower, 30 floors up, Laura Vance stared at a shattered empire. The boardroom's polished table reflected her haggard face, eyes shadowed from 2 sleepless nights. Gerald's suspension hadn't stopped the bleeding. Stock crashed, clients fled. And now the Torch's hate group bombshell had investors torching her phone. Her assistant Ethan hovered, clutching a tablet. Meridian Biotech pulled out, he stammered. 30 million gone. Laura's nails bit her palm, bloodless. Get me Klein, she snapped. Ethan shook his head. He's AWOL. Lawyers say he's dodging subpoenas. Laura's stomach sank. Gerald wasn't just a liability, he was a landmine, and Curtis Blake, his shadow, was out there ticking. Isaiah didn't know Blake's next move, but he felt the noose tightening. He'd moved to the warehouse after the mob, 10 miles from his condo's plywood scar, needing distance. From eyes and slurs. His tablet pinged. A news alert. Apex Dynamics loses key client amid scandal. He allowed a grim nod. His Vitacore cut and leaked memos were strangling their labs, and Gerald's hate group Stink was chasing money away. He typed a message to Ghost, dig deeper on Blake. Bank accounts, calls, dirt. His fingers paused, then added, rush it. He leaned back, the chair creaking, and pictured Apex's tower crumbling. He'd rebuild on its ashes, something clean, something his. Then Curtis Blake hit. At 3 in the morning, a video dropped on a fringe site, then exploded across platforms, 20 million views by dawn. Isaiah, caught on grainy footage, slipping a briefcase to a suited man labeled City Official. The caption screamed, Grant Biotech CEO bribes for contracts. Cable news devoured it, pundits spitting venom. Corrupt from the start, no wonder he's rich. Grant Biotech's stock plummeted 20%, clients freezing deals, employees whispering mutiny. Isaiah woke to Tanya's call, her voice a knife. It's fake, Isaiah. Deepfake tech, high-end, Blake's work. Isaiah's condo, where he'd returned at dawn, felt like a cage, the plywood window mocking him. He watched the video, his own face smirking, guilty, betraying him. His gut twisted, not shame but violation. They'd carved his image into a lie, painted him as the black crook they wanted. He called Tanya, pacing, the hardwood creaking. Trace it, he growled. IP server, anything. She was already on it, her keyboard clacking through the line. Got a lead, some dive bars Wi-Fi, 2 miles from Klein's last ping. Isaiah's mind raced. Blake wasn't just dirty. He was a ghost, slipping through cracks most couldn't see. Isaiah needed to hit back, hard. He opened his laptop, pulling FDA files Ghost had snagged weeks ago, Apex's rigged drug trials, fudged data to Russia cancer therapy. He packaged it, sent it to a biotech journal with teeth. This drops today, he told Tanya. Apex's patents toast. She exhaled, sharp. You're poking a bear, boss. Isaiah's eyes burned. Let it roar. The journal published at noon. FDA fraud, Apex Dynamics falsified trial data. The fallout was instant. Apex's lead drug, $100 million bet, lost its patent, stock diving another 10%. Laura Vance, in her office, hurled a coffee mug at the wall, ceramic shattering. How does he keep doing this? She yelled, alone, the skyline mocking her. Her board was in chaos. 3 directors now gone, and Gerald's name was poison. She didn't know Blake existed, didn't know he'd already struck again. Isaiah drove 15 miles to his community lab, a squat building in West End where kids learned biotech basics, his give-back, his heart. He needed to see something good, something untouched by Apex's filth. But as he pulled up, smoke curled into the sky, black and choking. The lab's roof was a crater, windows blown out, flames licking the bricks. Fire trucks screamed too late. 3 kids, teens he'd mentored, lay on stretchers, coughing, burned. A paramedic grabbed him. Gas leak, they think. Explosion. Isaiah's knees buckled, guilt crashing like a wave. He saw their faces. Malik dreaming of med school, Aisha coding her first app, his lab, his safe space gutted. He stumbled to his car, the air thick with ash. Tanya called, her voice cracking. It wasn't a leak, Isaiah. Arson. Cops found. Accelerant? Blake's signature. Isaiah's vision blurred, not from smoke but rage. Blake hadn't just hit his money, his name. He'd hit his kids, his future. The video's lie, now this fire, were blades, each cut deeper, each aimed at his blackness, his defiance. He punched the dashboard, pain flaring in his knuckles. Find him, he told Tanya, voice raw. Now. But Blake wasn't done. At 8 that night, Isaiah's phone pinged. A text from an unknown number. A photo loaded, his nephew Devin, 16, gagged, tied to a chair in a concrete room. A message followed. Drop it all. Lawsuit leaks, or he's gone. Isaiah's heart stopped, the world narrowing to that image. Devin, Keisha's son, who'd shadowed him at Grant Biotech, who called him Uncle Zay. Isaiah's hands shook, the phone slipping. He called Tanya, barely breathing. They've got Devin, warehouse maybe, track it. She didn't hesitate. On it. Stay put, Isaiah. But he couldn't. He grabbed his keys, the lab's smoke. Still clinging to his jacket. Tanya's team traced the text to a burner, pinging a tower 20 miles north. Isaiah sped through Atlanta's neon blur, the city's pulse mocking his dread. The FDA leak had landed, Apex's patent dead, but it felt like ash now. Devin's wide eyes, his muffled scream, burned hotter than the lab's flames. Isaiah's mind churned. Blake's video had tanked his stock, the fire had broken his heart, and now this kidnapping was a chokehold. Apex wasn't fighting for survival. They were fighting to erase him, his name, his blood. He gripped the wheel, knuckles, bleeding from the dash. Gerald's hate group, Laura's silence, Blake's cruelty. They thought he'd fold. He pulled into a derelict lot, a warehouse looming, its windows dark. His phone buzzed. Tanya. Cops are 10 minutes out. Wait, Isaiah. He didn't. Devin was in there, and every second was a blade. He slipped inside, the air stale, footsteps echoing. A single light flickered, and there was Devin, tied, eyes wide. Blake stepped from the shadows, a hulking ex-cop with a scar splitting his lip. Smart guy, Blake sneered, tapping a pistol. Drop the fight, Grant, or he's collateral. Isaiah's voice was steel. You touch him, you're dead. Blake laughed, low racist venom dripping. Big talk for a nobody. Isaiah's eyes locked on Devin's, a silent promise. The FDA leak was killing Apex, but Blake's game was personal, rooted in the same hate that burned Keisha's clinic. That bombed his lab. He stalled, talking, buying seconds. Blake's ego loved it. Sirens wailed, faint, closer. Blake's smirk faltered. Isaiah lunged, tackling him, Devin's chair crashing. Cops burst in, guns up, and Blake was cuffed, snarling. Devin sobbed free, clinging to Isaiah, but as they stumbled into the night, Tanya's call hit like a fist. Check the news. Blake's not done. Isaiah opened his phone, Devin beside. Him, paramedics swarming. A headline glared. Grant Biotech CEO linked to lab arson. Blake's final jab, a forged report. Evidence Isaiah set the fire, fed to blogs while he'd raced to save Devin. Social media roared, Apex spinning it. Grant's revenge gone wrong. Isaiah's throat closed, Devin's weight against him the only anchor. Blake's cuffs didn't matter, the lie was out and Apex was twisting the knife. Isaiah hugged Devin tighter, the city's lights blurring. He'd saved his nephew, crushed Apex's patent, but Blake's poison was spreading. This wasn't over. Isaiah Grant's hands shook as he held Devin, the boy's sobs muffled against his chest. Atlanta's night air stung with warehouse dust, cop lights slashing the dark where Curtis Blake, cuffed and snarling, was shoved into a cruiser. The image of Devin, gagged, tied, 16 years old, burned hotter than the lab fire that had injured 3 kids hours ago. Blake's fake arson rap, pinning that blaze on Isaiah, was spreading online. Apex Dynamics spinning it to paint him as a vengeful thug. Grant Biotech's stock was bleeding, down 20% from Blake's deepfake video yesterday. Isaiah's empire, $10 billion strong, wobbled, but his nephew's trembling kept him grounded. Apex had struck his heart, Keisha's. Clinic, his lab, now Devin, and he'd make them choke on it. He guided Devon to a paramedic, the kid's sneakers scuffing gravel. "You're safe," Isaiah whispered, voice steady despite the rage clawing his gut. Devon nodded, eyes glassy, too shaken to speak. Tanya's call hit his phone, urgent. "Cops bought your story, but Blake's arson lie's viral. Apex's stock still tanking. Patents gone, layoffs everywhere." Isaiah's jaw locked. His FDA leak exposing Apex's rigged trials had killed their $100 million drug, a kill shot after Gerald Klein's hate group scandal cost them $30 million in clients. But Blake's kidnapping, his taunt, nobody cut deeper, rooted in the same hate that burned his lab. "Find Blake's source," Isaiah told Tanya. "He's not working alone." Across town, Apex's tower stood like a wounded giant, its glass facade catching dawn's first glow. Laura Vance's office, 35th floor, was a tomb of shattered plans. Layoffs had gutted their labs. VitaCore's enzyme cut, Isaiah's doing, left them crippled, and the FDA scandal had buried their flagship drug. Her stock was down 25%, board members fleeing like rats. Laura slumped in her chair, silk blouse wrinkled, staring at a resignation draft she hadn't sent. Gerald Klein, suspended and toxic, was gone. Curtis Blake, a rumor she didn't yet know. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, her assistant, voice quaking. "Protesters are back, Mom. Thousands. They want you out." Laura's throat closed. Isaiah's lawsuit, paused for her apology, loomed, 50 voices ready to roar. She stood pacing the city's skyline, a taunt. "Get me Grant," she choked out. "Beg if you have to." Isaiah didn't take her call. He'd driven Devon 20 miles to Keisha's hotel, a quiet spot he'd paid cash for after her clinic's mob attack. Keisha met them at the door, her nurse's calm cracking as she hugged her son. "Thank God," she whispered, eyes wet. Isaiah's chest ached. He'd saved Devon, but the lab's burned kids, Malik's bandaged arm, Aisha's cough haunted him. "I'm ending this," he told Keisha, voice low. She grabbed his wrist, fierce. "You can't fix hate, Zay. Just come home." He shook his head, gentle but firm. Home was a plywood window, a brick's red slur. He kissed Devon's forehead, left them safe, and sped back to his warehouse, 10 miles away. The server's hum greeted him, a lifeline amid chaos. Tanya waited, her laptop open, Ghost's latest drop glowing. Blake's burner logs tied to a shell company Klein used for hate group cash. "It's thin," Tanya said, "but enough to keep digging." Isaiah nodded, his mind on Apex's next weak spot. He'd cracked their HR files, their trials. Now he targeted their investor calls, private Zooms where Laura spun lies to keep money flowing. Ghost had a backdoor, a flaw in Apex's encryption. Isaiah worked fast, fingers dancing, pulling audio of Laura promising fake profits. He sent it to the Torch, tagged, "Apex CEO hides losses." "This hits now," he told Tanya. "Let their investors run." The leak dropped at noon, a firestorm. Laura Vance caught lying to shareholders. Clip spread, 10 million views in an hour. Apex's stock crashing 20% more. Laura's boardroom erupted, directors screaming over speakerphones. 3 more resigning. She stood frozen, Ethan stammering, "We're done, ma'am. Morgan Stanley's out. 40 million gone." Laura's hands trembled, her empire ash. She didn't know Isaiah's name was behind it. Didn't know Blake's next move was already in motion. She sank into her chair, the resignation draft glaring from her screen. Apex wasn't just losing, it was dying. Isaiah felt the quake from his warehouse, Tanya's update lighting his phone. CFO resigned, stocks at 30% down. He should have grinned, but Devon's bound wrists, the lab's flames, kept him cold. He'd saved his nephew, gutted Apex's drug, their board, their cash. Laura's groveling apology, his paused lawsuit. It was all a feint, and he'd played it perfect. He stood, stretching, the warehouse's chill sinking into his bones. For a moment he thought he'd won, that Apex's collapse would bury their hate. Then Blake struck again. At 3, Tanya's call woke him from a nap, his neck stiff from the chair. "Check your email," she said, voice tight. Isaiah opened. A police report stamped urgent, naming him as the lab fire's arsonist. Blake's lie, cooked up during Devon's kidnapping, had landed. Grant planted accelerant revenge for lobby. Evidence, forged receipts, a staged witness, hit precincts citywide. Cops were at his condo, Tanya said, warrant in hand. Isaiah's pulse roared, but he moved fast, grabbing his laptop, slipping out the warehouse's back door. He called Carla, his lawyer, from a burner phone 5 miles away. "It's fake," he told her, voice steady. "Get me out." Carla, a bulldog who'd crushed bigger lies, was already working. By dusk, she'd bailed him out. Technicality, no hard proof, but the damage was done. News screamed Grant Biotech CEO arrested for arson. Isaiah hid in a motel 15 miles out, its neon sign buzzing like his nerves. The jail's cold bench, the cuff's bite, lingered in his wrists. Blake's lie wasn't just a frame. It was a brand, scorching his name as a black man who dared rise. Social media was a war zone, Apex's spin calling him unhinged. But worse came at 8. Driving to Tanya's safe house, Isaiah passed his condo's street, blocked, chaotic. A riot raged, 200 people, signs reading arsonist and, worse, slurs he hadn't heard since childhood. Flyers littered the ground, Blake's work. Grant's face captioned fire starter. Isaiah's stomach twisted. The mob's chants, "Lock him up," echoing the mob at Keisha's clinic. Blake hadn't just jailed him. He'd turned Isaiah's home into a battlefield. He reached Tanya's, a loft 10 miles east, her face grim. "Flyers traced to a print shop Blake used," she said, handing him coffee burnt and bitter. Isaiah sipped, grounding himself. The jail, the riot, they were hits, but Apex was crumbling. His investor leak had ousted Laura's CFO, and he wasn't. Done. He opened his laptop, uploading Laura's call audio to a live stream platform. Untraceable. Fade hit at midnight. Vance lies again, stock diving another 10%. Isaiah leaned back, the loft shadows dancing. He'd saved Devin, burned Apex's lies, but Blake's riot had lit a fuse. Then the real blow landed. At dawn, Tanya's phone pinged. A health alert, urgent. A park in Isaiah's old neighborhood 5 miles from his childhood duplex was sealed off. Water fountains laced with a toxin had sickened thousands. Kids, elders, families. News flashed. Grant Biotech Chemical found at scene. Blake's final dagger planted to frame Isaiah as a poisoner. Tanya's eyes met his, horror mirrored. "It's not ours," she whispered, but the lie was live. Cable news screaming, "Grant's." Revenge turns deadly. Isaiah's vision swam, the park swings where he'd played as a kid, now a crime scene. Blake's hate, Apex's silence, had turned his roots toxic. Isaiah stood, the loft's air stifling. His chest heaved, not panic, but a fire no water could douse. Devin was safe, Apex's stock was ash, but Blake's poison, literal, venomous, hit. His people, his past. The jail's cuffs, the riot's slurs, were nothing compared to this. He'd leaked Laura's lies, saved his nephew, but Blake's game was genocide, dressed as justice. So Isaiah grabbed his phone, texting Ghost, "Find the toxin source now." Tanya watched, silent as he paced. Apex was falling, but Blake's shadow loomed larger, a beast with claws. Isaiah's eyes burned, the park's poisoned water his new war. He'd fight or die trying. Isaiah Grant stood in Tanya's loft, the dawn light slicing through Atlanta's smog, but the air felt rancid with betrayal. The park poisoning, thousands sick, kids gasping in hospitals, had Blake's fingerprints, his final lie branding. Isaiah a monster. Apex Dynamics was crumbling, their stock down 30% after his leak of Laura Vance's investor call lies, their CFO gone, layoffs gutting their labs. But the riot at his condo, Blake's arsonist flyers, and that. Jail cell's cold grip lingered, each a jab at his blackness, his defiance. Devin's rescue, Keisha's safety, felt like distant winds, drowned by the toxin in his old neighborhood's water. Isaiah's hands clenched, nails biting skin. Apex wasn't just a company, they were a machine, grinding his people to dust. He paced the loft's concrete floor, Tanya's coffee machine hissing untouched. His phone buzzed, Ghost the hacker with a drop, lab reports, stolen from a shell company Blake used, proving the park's toxin wasn't Grant Biotech's. Isaiah's Pulse quickened. A lifeline in the dark. He forwarded it to the CDC, anonymous but ironclad, with a note. Apex fixers work. Check sources. Tanya watched, her eyes heavy from all-night coding. "You're sure?" she asked, voice low. "This clears you, but Blake's still out there." Isaiah nodded, his jaw tight. "Let him come. Apex falls today. Apex falls." The CDC moved fast. Their press conference at noon blasting Blake's lie. Poison traced to external source, grant cleared. Social media flipped. Apex racism trending again. Their stock diving 10% more. Isaiah felt the shift, a tide turning. Laura Vance resigned at 1. Her letter, mealy-mouthed, blaming stress, hitting inboxes as Apex's boardroom burned. He drove 15 miles to his condo, the plywood window now a badge, not a wound. Tanya called triumphant. "They're filing Chapter 11, Isaiah. Bankruptcy. You did it." His chest swelled, a rare breath of victory. Apex's tower, once a glass god, was rubble in his mind. Gerald Klein's hate group cash. Blake's arson. Frame Laura's lies, all buried. He threw a party that night, a low-key thing at a West End bar. 10 friends, jazz humming, bourbon flowing. Keisha came, Devin at her side, his smile fragile, but real. "To winning," Isaiah toasted. Glass. Raised, and for a moment the world felt right. Then Blake struck, a hammer from the dark. At midnight, as Isaiah laughed with Tanya, a blast shook Grant Biotech's headquarters 20 miles away. The bar's TV flickered. Breaking news. Explosion rocks biotech firm. Isaiah's glass slipped, bourbon splattering. Flames consumed. His building's lobby, 10 employees injured. Glass shards glittering like knives. The anchor's voice cut through. "Suspected bomb. No fatalities, but Grant Biotech's CEO under scrutiny." Isaiah's knees buckled, guilt flooding. Those workers, his people, hurt because he'd pushed too hard. Tanya grabbed his arm, steadying him. "Blake," she hissed. "Had to be." Isaiah's vision tunneled, the bar's warmth gone cold. Apex was dead, but Blake's hate was alive, carving his empire's heart. He sped to the site. Atlanta's streets a neon smear, sirens screaming. The HQ's facade was a jagged ruin, smoke curling like a curse. Paramedics worked fast, stretchers, rolling, and Isaiah found his head of security, Jamal bandaged but alive. "Timer bomb," Jamal coughed. "Pro job." Isaiah's gut twisted. Blake, the ex-cop, knew timers, knew pain. He saw faces. Lila, a chemist, her arm broken. Marcus, IT, concussed. His fault for thinking Apex's fall meant safety. Tanya arrived, laptop underarm. "Feds are circling," she said. "Blake fed them a dossier, calls you a terrorist, ties the bomb to you." Isaiah's rage flared, hotter than the flames. Blake hadn't just hit his building. He'd weaponized the same lie that poisoned the park, branded him a black menace. Isaiah hid in a safe house 10 miles south, a dingy apartment smelling of mildew. The feds raided his condo at dawn. Tanya's warning giving him just enough time to slip out. His phone buzzed. Carla, his lawyer, voice sharp. "Dossier's fake, but it's got weight. Encrypted emails, Grant plans attack, Blake's deep." Isaiah's throat burned, not fear, but fury. Blake's game wasn't chaos. It was erasure, stripping his name, his blood, from the earth. He opened his laptop. Ghost's latest drop waiting. Apex's slush fund, 50 million in secret accounts used to bribe regulators. Isaiah worked fast, uploading it to the Torch, Vance's hidden millions exposed. It hit at noon. Apex's bankruptcy talks imploding, creditors bolting, stock flatlined. The leak was a grenade. Chapter 11. Filings froze. Apex's last clients fled, their tower a ghost town. Isaiah felt a spark, his HQ's ashes fueling him. He'd cleared his name, buried Laura's lies, saved Devin, but Blake's bomb had cracked his core. He called Tanya, voice low. "I'm ending this." She sighed, weary. "You said that before the park." He hung up, the safe house's silence deafening. Blake wasn't just a fixer, he was a plague, and Isaiah was done running. Then his phone pinged, a video link, no sender. He clicked, and his world stopped. The screen showed his mother, Ruth, 62, bound to a chair in a concrete room, her grey braids loose, eyes wide with fear. Blake's voice off-screen rasped, "Drop everything, Grant. Leaks, lawsuits, or she burns." A live-stream ticker ran, 10,000 viewers, climbing. Isaiah's heart seized, Ruth's soft hum from his childhood drowned by terror. She'd raised him alone, scrubbed floors to buy his first laptop. Now Blake had her, a knife to his soul. He texted Tanya, hands shaking. "Mum's taken." "Trace it," she replied instantly. "On it." "Stay calm." But calm was gone. He called Blake's burner, the one Ghost had cracked. "Let her go," Isaiah growled, voice breaking. Blake laughed, cruel. "Give me Apex's corpse, and she walks." Isaiah's mind raced, the safe house's walls closing in. He'd killed Apex, stock zero, bankruptcy filed. But Blake wanted more, wanted him broken. He faked surrender, texting Blake, "I'm done. No more leaks." Tanya traced the stream to a warehouse, 30 miles north, same setup as Devon's kidnapping. Isaiah drove, the city's pulse a taunt, Ruth's face his only focus. The live stream hit 50,000 viewers, comments flooding, "Kill the thug, Apex was right." Blake's hate, rooted in Gerald's slurs, Laura's silence, had turned the world against him, a black man who dared win. He reached the warehouse, a hulking shell under moonlight, and slipped inside, the air thick with oil. Ruth sat under a bare bulb, bound alive. Blake loomed, pistol in hand, scar glinting. "Smart move, quitting," he sneered, racist venom dripping. Isaiah stalled, voice low, asking about Apex, buying seconds. Tanya's text hit, "Cops 5, minutes out." Blake's eyes flicked to his phone, sensing the trap. Isaiah moved, shoving Ruth's chair, tackling Blake. The gun skidded, Ruth screamed, and cops stormed in, cuffs snapping. Isaiah untied her, her sobs breaking him. "I'm here, Ma," he whispered, holding tight. They stumbled into dawn, Ruth leaning on him, safe. Tanya met them, her face grim. "Feds dropped the dossier," she said. "Slush fund leak killed Apex for good." Isaiah nodded, Ruth's weight anchoring him. The warehouse faded, Atlanta's skyline rising, but Blake's laugh lingered. Tanya's phone buzzed. A news alert. Grant biotech bombing. New evidence points to Apex fixer. Blake's lie, tying Isaiah to the blast, was unraveling, but not fast enough. Social media still burned, slurs flying, terrorist, fraud. Isaiah's HQ was rubble, 10 lives scarred, and Ruth's trembling hands told him the cost. He drove Ruth to Keisha's hotel, 20 miles, her silence heavier than words. The slush fund leak had sealed Apex's grave. Chapter 11 filed. Assets. Gone, but Blake's bomb, his live stream, had carved Isaiah's name into hate. The park's poison, the riot's chants, were battles. This was war. Blake's racism, a blade slicing his roots. Isaiah kissed Ruth's forehead, promising safety, but his eyes burned. He'd saved her, killed Apex, but Blake's venom wasn't dead. Tanya called as he left. Ghosts got something. Blake's crew still active. Isaiah's grip tightened, the city's dawn a challenge. Apex was ash, but the fight wasn't over. Isaiah Grant clutched his mother's hand, her pulse steady against his palm, but the stench of charred wood clung to them both. Ruth's house, a modest ranch 10 miles from Atlanta's heart, was a smoldering ruin, Blake's parting shot after Isaiah had tackled him to save her. Apex Dynamics was dead, its Chapter 11 filing sealed yesterday when Isaiah's slush fund leak bled their last dollar dry. But the bombing of his headquarters, 10 employees scarred, and Blake's live-streamed threat to Ruth, watched by 50,000, had carved deeper wounds. The park's poison, the riot's slurs, Apex's lies, they weren't fights. They were a war on his blackness, his blood. Isaiah's eyes burned, not with tears, but steel. He'd bury Blake's hate, even if it cost everything. He settled Ruth at Keisha's hotel 20 miles away, her grey braids tucked under a scarf, her voice soft but firm. "You don't stop, Zay," she said, gripping his wrist. "Not for..." Me. Isaiah nodded, throat tight, Devin's shy grin from the corner anchoring him. He'd saved his nephew, his mother, killed Apex's empire, stock zero, board gone, but Blake's venom lingered, a racist blade slicing his name. Driving. Back Atlanta's dawn glowed, but his safe house, a mildew-soaked apartment 15 miles south, felt like a cell. Tanya's call hit as he parked, her voice clipped. Feds dropped the bomb charge, slush fund proved Apex's dirt, but Blake's got a new lie. Check the news. Isaiah's phone lit up. Senator Diane Holt, Brenda's aunt, on every channel. Her silver hair prim as she waved a forged email. Isaiah Grant assaults staffer, threatens Senate. The lie, Blake's work, claimed Isaiah had stormed her office, a violent thug out of control. Social media erupted. Hang Grant trending. 10 million posts in an hour. A manhunt launched. Feds raiding his condo, Tanya's loft, even Keisha's old clinic, its windows still jagged from the mob. Isaiah's chest seized. Blake's dossier, terrorist, arsonist, now this, each lie sharper. Rooted in the lobby's sneer, Gerald's hate, Laura's silence. He tossed his phone, the safe house's damp walls mocking him. Apex was ash, but Blake's racism was a hydra, growing new heads. He grabbed his laptop, Ghost's latest drop waiting, Blake's prison calls, bragging about framing the black CEO. Isaiah worked fast, uploading them to the Torch. Apex Fixer's lies unraveled. But he needed more, something to gut Apex's corpse. He cracked their clinical trial data, a $1 billion Alzheimer's drug, rigged to hide side effects, seizures, deaths. He sent it to a medical watchdog, tagged Apex's deadly deception. It hit at noon, the drug scrapped, Apex's last asset voided, creditors howling. Isaiah leaned back, the chair creaking, a spark of control. He'd saved Ruth, buried Apex's cash, their board, their drug. Blake's lies were loud, but Isaiah's truth was louder. Then the feds hit. At 3, his safe house door splintered, agents swarming, rifles up. Isaiah Grant, down! Tanya's warning, 10 minutes late, hadn't been enough. Isaiah dove behind a couch, heart pounding, slipping out a window as boots thumped. He sprinted 5 miles, Atlanta's alleys a blur, his jacket torn, lungs burning. The manhunt was live, choppers buzzing, his face on every screen. Wanted. Violent suspect. Blake's senator lie had teeth, Diane Holt milking it on TV, her eyes cold. He's a danger to our city. Isaiah hid in a storm drain, the drip of water his only sound, guilt crashing. Lila's broken arm from the bombing, Ruth's scorched home, all because he'd fought back. Tanya found him at dusk. A burner phone passed through a grate. "You're clear," she whispered. "Trial leaks out. Watchdog screaming, Apex is done." Isaiah nodded, mud smearing his face, but Diane's lie clung like damp rot. He'd killed Apex's drug, saved his family, but Blake's frame-up painted him a beast, a black man too big to breathe. He climbed out, Tanya leading him to a new hideout, a garage 10 miles west, oil stains black as his mood. His tablet pinged. The Torch's post, Blake's calls, was viral, 20 million views, Diane's story wobbling. Isaiah seized it, digging Ghost's dirt. Blake's rap sheet, extortion, assault, tied to hate crimes. He prepped it, hands steady, for a bigger stage. Davai. Stage came at 8, a live-streamed speech he'd planned weeks ago, a biotech summit beamed to millions. Isaiah slipped into a rented studio 5 miles north, Tanya guarding the door. He wore a plain shirt, no jacket, his face raw, unhidden. "I'm Isaiah Grant," he started, voice like granite, "and Apex tried to erase me." He laid it bare. Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, Blake's bombs, then dropped the trial leak, charts flashing, death's Apex hid. The crowd, virtual and live, gasped, chat exploding, justice for Grant spiking. Isaiah felt it, a tide shifting, his name clawing back. Then a crack split the air, glass shattering. A bullet grazed his arm, blood blooming, pain searing. Blake, free on bail, had fired from a rooftop, his scar glinting in sniper scope. Isaiah dove, Tanya tackling him, the studio chaos, screams, cameras toppling. Security swarmed, Blake vanishing into the night, but the shot was live. 50 million saw it. Isaiah's arm throbbed, Tanya binding it with her scarf, her eyes fierce. "So you're alive," she hissed. "Keep going." He nodded, blood-soaking cotton, and grabbed his phone. The torch was ready. Blake's rap sheet, uploaded mid-speech, hit like lightning. Fixers' hate crimes exposed. Social media turned. Diane's lie crumbling. Grant Biotech's stock twitching upward. Clients calling back. Isaiah's vision blurred, not pain, but clarity. He dodged death, gutted Apex's drug, turned Blake's shot into his shield. The hideout, a garage thick with grease, was his refuge by midnight. Tanya stitched his arm, her hands steady, cursing Blake's name. "Feds are backtracking," she said, checking her tablet. "Shots on every channel. Public's with you." Isaiah's lips twitched, a ghost of a grin. The trial leak had killed Apex's last hope, their tower a husk, bankruptcy sealed. He'd saved Ruth, Devon, exposed Blake's crimes, but the bullet's sting, Diane's sneer on TV, told him Blake wasn't done. His phone buzzed. Ghost. Blake's got allies. Big ones. Planning something. Isaiah's blood ran cold, the garage's shadows deepening. Blake's shot was a warning, not an end. He stood, arm aching, the city's hum faint through cracked walls. Tanya watched, silent, as he opened his laptop. The summit's clip. His speech, the shot, was viral, 80 million views, hashtags flipping. Free Grant, Apex lied. He'd turned Blake's hate into a spotlight, his pain into power. Ruth was safe, Keisha's clinic rebuilding, but Diane's. Lie Blake's bullet were claws, racist and raw, ripping at his roots. Isaiah typed fast to Ghost. "Find the allies' names now." His arm bled through the bandage, a slow drip, but he didn't flinch. Apex was gone, but Blake's war was alive, and Isaiah was its heart. Isaiah Grant's arm throbbed, the makeshift bandage stiff with dried blood, but his eyes were locked on the laptop screen in the oil-slicked garage. Atlanta's midnight hummed outside, a restless pulse, but inside, Isaiah was a coiled spring. Apex Dynamics was dead, stock at zero, their billion-dollar Alzheimer's drug voided by his trial data leak yesterday. Blake's bullet, grazing him during the live-streamed speech, had flipped the world. 80 million saw it. Hashtags like, "Free Grant drowning out Senator Diane Holt's lies." His expose of Blake's rap sheet, extortion, hate crimes, had turned the tide. Grant Biotech's stock clawing back, clients returning. But Ruth's burned house, the bombed headquarters, 10 injured, and the park's poisoned kids weighed. Like iron. Apex's fall wasn't enough. Blake's racism, rooted in Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, was a fire Isaiah had to smother. He leaned back, the garage's metal chair biting his spine, Tanya's coffee cold beside him. His leak had buried Apex's last asset, their bankruptcy a tombstone. But Blake's vow, allies big ones, echoed from Ghost's warning. Isaiah's safe house, 10 miles west, was a fortress of necessity, feds still sniffing after Diane's assault frame-up. His phone buzzed. Tanya, her voice taut. "You bought Apex's debt cheap, full leverage, tower's yours." Isaiah's chest stirred, a spark of triumph. He'd snagged their 30-story husk for pennies, a plan forming. A black tech hub. A middle finger to their hate. Ruth was safe, Keisha's clinic rebuilding, Devon smiling again. He stood, stretching, the wound's ache a dull roar. Apex was gone. Time to build. The hub's vision consumed him. He drove 15 miles to Apex's tower at dawn, its glass dark, a ghost of Laura Vance's empire. Inside, the lobby, where Brenda Holt had spat "Get Lost," was silent, her desk bare, a janitor sweeping dust. Isaiah walked the floors, 30, empty levels, his steps echoing. He saw it, labs for kids like Malik burned in the lab fire, offices for coders like Aisha still coughing. Tanya met him, tablet glowing with blueprints. "City approved the rezoning," she said. "Hubs greenlit." Isaiah nodded, the air sharp with possibility. Grant Biotech was healing, stock to up 10%, clients solid, and he'd turned Blake's shot into a rallying cry. For a moment he believed he'd won, that hate's claws were dulled. Then Blake struck, a viper from the shadows. At 8, Isaiah headed to a gala, a biotech fundraiser 20 miles north. 500 elites in tuxes and gowns, streamed to millions. He'd promised a keynote, a vision for his hub, a beacon for black innovators. The venue, a glittering ballroom, buzzed with champagne flutes and murmured deals. Isaiah, in a tailored suit, arm bandaged but unbowed, stepped to the podium, his voice steady. "This hub," he said, "is for every kid told they don't belong." The crowd leaned in, cameras rolling, 20 million watching live. Then, a beep, sharp, wrong, cut the air. A red light blinked under a table, wires snaking. Bomb. Isaiah's heart slammed, Blake's work screaming in his head. He dove, shouting, "Get out!" Guests screamed, heels clattering, as he crawled to the device, sweat beading. Tanya, at the edge, yelled, "Isaiah, no!" But he didn't stop. His fingers, steady despite the pain, traced the timer. 10 seconds. He'd built drones as a teen, new circuits like his own pulse. He snipped a wire, blue, praying, and the beep died, the crowd gasping, safe. Security swarmed, 500 saved, the stream hitting 50 million views. Grant diffuses bomb trending. Isaiah stood, shaking, the gala's chandelier light blinding. He'd beaten Blake, turned his trap into glory, his hub's name now legend. But Blake wasn't done. At midnight, as Isaiah debriefed with Tanya in a hotel suite 10 miles east, a new video dropped, a deepfake, Isaiah's face, voice perfect, confessing to arson, fraud, even the park poisoning. "I played you all," it sneered, uploaded, to a fringe site, then viral. 30 million views by dawn. Riots erupted across Atlanta, 5,000 strong, targeting Grant Biotech's offices, still scarred from the bombing. Glass shattered, flames licked, chants of traitor, liar drowning. The night. Isaiah watched the feed, his gut a knot, Tanya's face pale. "It's Blake," she said, "tied to Gerald Klein's old server." Isaiah's fist clenched, the deep-fake smirk, a mirror of Brenda's lobby sneer, racist to its core. Another. Black man framed as chaos. He sped 20 miles to a safe house, a brick shack in Decatur, the city's rage a distant roar. Tanya traced the deepfake's code, her laptop glowing. "It's high-end," she said, but sloppy. Gerald's encryption cracked. Isaiah's mind churned. Blake's gala bomb had failed, so he'd swung harder, painting Isaiah as the villain Apex always wanted. The riots weren't random, they were Blake's fire, stoked by Gerald's hate, Diane's lies, aimed at his skin, his success. He called Ghost, voice low. "Get me Klein's endgame." Ghost's reply was instant. "Working it." Got a lead, lobbying ring, big players. Isaiah's eyes narrowed. Gerald wasn't just a VP, he was a cog in something uglier. He worked fast, pulling Ghost's dirt. Gerald's emails buried in a dark web cache, tying him to a racist lobbying group, Patriot Vanguard, bankrolling laws to choke black firms. Isaiah packaged it, sent it to the Torch, Klein's hate lobby exposed. It hit at noon, a guillotine. Gerald arrested in a sting. 20 million saw the cuffs. Patriot Vanguards. Donors named, senators, CEOs crumbling. Social media roared. Justice for Grant spiking, riots slowing. Grant Biotech's gates quieting. Isaiah's chest loosened, the shack's stale air lighter. He'd saved the gala, buried Gerald's ring, turned Blake's deepfake into dust. His hub was rising, Apex's tower his, and Blake was cornered, a rat with no holes. Then Blake's final jab landed. At dusk, Tanya's phone buzzed, a security alert from the hub's site, Apex's old tower, now Isaiah's. A bomb, rigged. In the basement, timers ticking, no bluff. Isaiah sped 30 miles, Atlanta's skyline a taunt, his arms wounds screaming. The tower loomed dark, his dream's cradle. Fire trucks blocked Peachtree, cops shouting, but Isaiah slipped past into the bowels. Concrete cold wires humming death. The device, Blake's signature complex, blinked 5 seconds. He cut a red wire, heart stopping, and it stilled. The hub saved. Sweat soaked him, relief crashing, but Tanya's call broke it. "Check the feed," she gasped. Isaiah's phone glowed. A live stream, Blake's face scarred and grinning from a jail cell. Grant thinks he's won, he taunted, 10 million watching. Check the tower's pipes, my gift. Isaiah. Froze, cops yelling as a tech ran up. Sir, water lines, trace of toxin, same as the park. Blake's poison, planted before his arrest, aimed at the hub's future. Kids, coders, Isaiah's legacy. His knees buckled, the basement's chill a grave. He'd defused the bomb, saved 500, killed Gerald's ring. But Blake's hate, racist to its marrow, had struck his dream's heart. He stumbled outside, the city's pulse mocking him. Tanya met him, her eyes fierce. We'll clean, she said. No one's hurt yet. Isaiah nodded, voice gone, the tower's glass catching dawn. The deepfake's lies, the riot's flames were battles. This poison was a siege. Blake's final claw echoing Brenda's get lost. Gerald's cash, Diane's sneer. He'd built Grant Biotech from a duplex, saved Ruth, Devon, his hub, but Blake's venom was a mirror. Hate that saw his blackness as a crime. Isaiah's phone buzzed. Ghost, Blake's allies named, bigger than Klein. He gripped it, the wound's pain a pulse, and walked into the light. The hub stood, but the war wasn't won. Isaiah Grant stood outside Apex Dynamics Tower, now his, the glass catching Atlanta's dawn like a blade. He'd defused Blake's bomb hours ago, saved his future black tech hub, but the poisoned water lines, Blake's final venom, echoing the park's toxin, choked his relief. Gerald Klein's arrest yesterday, his racist lobbying ring gutted, had killed Apex's ghost, their stock at zero, riots fading. The gala save, 500 lives spared, had made Isaiah a hero, Grant Biotech's name climbing from the deepfakes, ashes. But Ruth's burned house, his bombed HQ, 10 scarred workers and kids coughing from poisoned swings burned hotter. Blake's hate, Brenda's sneer reborn, saw his blackness as a sin, and Isaiah's fists clenched, ready to crush it. He walked the tower's basement. Cops gone, the air thick with damp concrete. Tanya's voice crackled through his earpiece, steady but strained. Water's clean. Tech's flushed the toxin, hub's safe. Isaiah nodded, his bandaged arm aching from last week's bullet graze. He'd bought Apex's debt cheap, owned their husk, turned their grave into his dream. Labs. For kids, offices for coders, a fortress against hate. Grant Biotech's stock was up 15%. Clients loyal. His speeches 80 million views a shield. He'd saved Devon, Ruth, the gala, buried Gerald's Patriot Vanguard, and killed Apex's billion-dollar drug. Blake was jailed. His rap sheet viral. Isaiah exhaled, the basement's chill easing. He'd won, hadn't he? Then Senator Diane Holt struck, a viper with Brenda's blood. At noon, live on every network, her silver hair gleamed as she signed a bill. Tech Equity Act rushed through Congress aimed at rogue firms. Its fine print gutted black-owned tech, taxing their grants, choking loans, inspections rigged to fail. Diane's smile was ice, her words coded, "We protect our industry from threats." Social media caught it. Holt's Law trending. 5 million posts screaming racism. Isaiah watched in his tower office, 30 floors up, the city's skyline a taunt. His hub's funding dried, 3 grants cancelled, banks pulling lines. Grant Biotech stock dipped 10%. Investors spooked. Diane's law wasn't policy, it was a noose, Blake's shadow in her pen targeting Isaiah's skin, his empire. He paced the office, bare, Apex's old logo scraped off. Tanya burst in, tablet blazing. "It's Holt," she said. "Brenda's." "Aunt." Blake fed her the playbook, lobby logs match his burner. Isaiah's gut twisted, Diane's threats echoing Brenda's get lost, Gerald's slurs, Blake's bombs. The gala's bomb, the deepfakes riots were battles. This law was a guillotine slicing his hub's heart. Malik's lab dreams, Aisha's code. He called Ghost, voice low. "Get me Holt's dirt, everything." Ghost's reply pinged. Emails encrypted, big players, digging now. Isaiah's jaw locked. Diane wasn't just a senator, she was a wall, and he'd tear it down. But Blake wasn't idle. At dusk, a news alert hit. Local school torched. Grant Biotech link suspected. Isaiah's childhood elementary, 5 miles from his old duplex, was ash. Its playground melted, swings warped. The report, Blake's lie from jail, claimed Isaiah burned it for revenge, citing chemical traces from his firm. Social. Media roared. Grants a pyro trending, 10 million post slurs flying. Isaiah sped 15 miles, Atlanta's lights blurring, his throat tight. The school's husk loomed, fire trucks idling, kids' murals charred. His first science fair, age 10, now dust. A cop eyed him suspicious. "You Grant," he grunted. Isaiah nodded, voice gone. "Stay back. Arson's your name now." He drove to Tanya's loft, 10 miles east. The school's smoke in his lungs. Tanya met him, her face grim. "It's Blake," she said, laptop open. "Forged lab logs, planted by his crew. Same toxin as the park." Isaiah's fists balled, blood seeping through his bandage. Blake's fire wasn't chaos, it was erasure, burning Isaiah's roots, his black past, branding him a monster. The law choked his future, the fire his past, each racist, each a blade. He opened his laptop, ghosts drop waiting. Diane's emails sent to Patriot Vanguard pushing anti-black laws for cash. Isaiah worked fast, uploading to the Torch, Senator's racist cash grab. It hit at midnight, 20 million views. Diane's campaign tanking, donors fleeing, her law wobbling. The fallout was swift. Holtface's ethics probe trending, protests outside her office, 5,000 strong. Grant Biotech's stock steadied, clients calling, hub grants trickling back. Isaiah felt a spark. Tanya's loft, less a cage. He'd saved the hub, gutted Diane's lies, buried Gerald's ring, Apex's drug, their stock. Blake was cuffed. His school fire a failing jab. Isaiah stood, the city's hum faint through cracked windows, believing he'd turned the abyss away. Then Blake's deepest cut landed. At dawn, Tanya's phone rang. A blocked number, voice distorted. "Check East Point," it rasped, then clicked off. Isaiah's gut sank. East Point, where Tanya lived, worked, fought beside him. He sped. 20 miles, Tanya silent, her eyes wide. Her apartment, a low brick unit, was sealed, cops swarming, neighbors whispering. A detective approached, face hard. "She's gone," he said. "Tanya Brooks, taken, 2 hours ago." A note, scrawled in Blake's style, lay on her stoop. "Patents for her life, Grant." Isaiah's knees buckled, the world tilting. Tanya, his rock, who'd traced Blake's lies, guarded his hub, was Blake's hostage, a blade to his heart. He stumbled to his car, the note's ink smearing his fingers. Blake's demand, Grant Biotech's gene-editing patents worth billions, wasn't greed. It was destruction, stripping Isaiah's legacy, his black innovation. The school's ash, Diane's law, were set-ups. This was checkmate, racist to its core, echoing Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, Apex's silence. Isaiah's rage surged, drowning fear. He called Ghost, voice raw. "Find her. Cell pings, cameras, anything." Ghost's reply was instant. "Got a trace. Warehouse, 30 miles out." Isaiah's eyes burned. Tanya's laugh, her burnt coffee, his anchor. He'd saved Ruth, Devin, the hub, killed Apex, Diane's lies, but Tanya was blood, and Blake's hate was a noose tightening. He drove, Atlanta's dawn a blur, the warehouse's shadow looming. Cops trailed. Ghost's tip leaked, but Isaiah didn't wait. The building rusted, reeked of oil, Blake's lair reborn. He slipped inside, dark, silent, Tanya's jacket on a chair, her tablet smashed. A trap, Blake's crew waiting, but Isaiah moved like a ghost, heart pounding. A muffled cry, Tanya bound alive. He lunged, dodging a guard, freeing her, her eyes fierce despite bruises. "Go!" she hissed, but Blake's voice boomed, pre-recorded, "Patents, or she's next." Cops stormed, chaos erupting, and Isaiah pulled Tanya out, her weight his only truth. They stumbled into light, cops cuffing Blake's men, Tanya shaking but whole. Isaiah's phone buzzed. Ghost. Toxin source, Blake's lab, nailed it. He sent it to the CDC, Liv. Blake's fire traced to Fixer. It hit at noon. 30 million views. The school's lie dead. Diane's probe deepening. Her law paused. Isaiah held Tanya, her breath steady, his arms' blood seeping anew. The hub stood, Apex gone, Gerald jailed, but Blake's trap had cost, his patent safe, but Tanya's eyes held scars. Social media shifted, Grant saves trending, slurs fading, but Isaiah's gut churned. Diane's law lingered, Blake's crew loose, and the abyss stared back, racist, unyielding. He drove Tanya to safety, 15 miles, her silence heavy. The Beihu CDC's proof cleared his name. The hub's grants returned. But Blake's kidnapping, his fire, Diane's pen, were claws, tearing his blackness, his fight. Isaiah parked, the city's pulse a challenge. He'd saved Tanya, gutted Diane's campaign, Apex's empire, but Blake's hate was a hydra, and he'd cut one head too few. His phone glowed. Ghost. Holt's backers, bigger fish, moving fast. Isaiah's jaw locked, the road ahead a warpath. The hub was his, but the fight was eternal. Isaiah Grant's hand steadied Tanya as they stumbled from the warehouse. Atlanta's dawn, a faint bruise on the horizon. Her bruises, Blake's work, darkened her jaw, but her eyes burned fierce, unbroken. Isaiah's arm, still seeping blood. From last week's bullet graze ached, yet saving Tanya, his rock kidnapped for his patents, felt like a pulse of life. Curtis Blake's crew was cuffed. His school fire lay dead, thanks to Isaiah's CDC leak proving the toxin was Blake's. Senator Diane Holt's racist law, gutting black tech, was paused, her campaign tanked by his email expose. Apex Dynamics was liquidated, its tower his, a black tech hub rising. But the school's ash, Ruth's burned home, the hub's poisoned pipes, each racist jab from Brenda's sneer to Blake's bombs, cut deeper than flesh. Isaiah's chest tightened, Tanya's weight his anchor. He'd won, but at what cost? He drove her 15 miles to a safe house, a concrete bunker south of the city, its air thick with dust. Tanya sank onto a cot, her voice rough. "I'm okay, Zay. Stop hovering." Isaiah nodded, but her smashed tablet left in that warehouse haunted him. Her work, their fight nearly erased. Grant Biotech's stock was steady, the hub's grants returning, Apex's husk his. But Blake's kidnapping had torn a hole. Racist hate aiming at his blood, his kin. Diane's law, Blake's fire were claws, and Ghost's warning, bigger fish, loomed. Isaiah's phone buzzed. Tanya's backup drive, live. Blake's allies. A cartel tied to Gerald Klein's Patriot. Vanguard named. He opened his laptop, Ghost's drop glowing. Hacked bank records, 10 million funneled to rig laws. "We've got them," he told Tanya, voice low, a spark igniting. At noon, he sent it to the Torch. Klein's cartel funds hate laws. It hit. Like a quake. 20 million views, the cartel, senators, tycoons named, dozens jailed by dusk. Social media roared. Grant exposes trending, Diane's allies scattering. Isaiah's hub soared, global donors pledging. His gala keynote set for tonight, a biotech summit to cement his vision. He drove 20 miles, Atlanta's skyline a crown, Tanya beside him, patched but fierce. The venue, a glass dome, glittered. 300 leaders inside, millions streaming. Isaiah, suit crisp despite his bandage, stepped to the mic, voice like steel. "This hub," he said, "is for every voice silenced." Applause swelled, cameras flashing, Grant Biotech's name gold again. He felt it. Apex fallen, Diane crushed, Blake cuffed, his hub alive. Victory, hard won. Then the cartel struck, a shadow from Gerald's grave. At 9, mid-speech, a blast rocked the dome, flames swallowing the stage. Isaiah dove, shielding Tanya, glass raining, screams piercing. 20 dead, including Marcus, his mentor, grey beard bloodied, eyes still. The stream, 50 million live. Caught it. Grant Biotech Gala bombed. Isaiah's lungs burned, smoke choking, Marcus's hand limp in his. Tanya pulled him out, her face cut, cops swarming, the dome a ruin. News screamed, Grant targeted, Terror Link? The cartel's lie, Blake's echo pinned it on Isaiah, revenge for Apex. Social media erupted, Grant killer trending, 10 million posts, slurs reborn. Isaiah's heart shattered. Marcus's laugh, guiding him at 16, coding in a basement. Gone racist hate stealing another piece of his soul. He hid in a motel 10 miles east, its neon buzzing, Tanya stitching a gash on his brow. His phone buzzed. Ghost. Cartel hacked Grant Biotech. Client data leaked. Isaiah's empire teetered, stocks crashing 15%, lawsuits looming. The bombing wasn't enough. They'd gutted his core, exposing patients, trusts, all to paint him a black menace. Brenda's Get Lost, now a global roar. Tanya's eyes met his, fierce despite pain. "We fight," she said, handing him a drive. Ghost's final gift, cartel chats, plotting the bomb, tied to a tech titan, Victor Slade. Isaiah worked fast, uploading to the torch, cartel's blood. Money exposed. It hit at midnight, 30 million views. Slade's empire crumbling, dozens jailed, the cartel's heart pierced. The fallout was instant. Slade faces charges trending. Protests outside his tower, 5,000 strong. Grant Biotech stock steadied, clients holding, the hub's doors open. Isaiah stood in the motel, its stale air a cage. Grief for Marcus a stone in his chest. He'd saved Tanya, Ruth, Devin, the hub. Killed Apex, Diane's law, Gerald's. Ring Blake's lies, but the bombing, 20 lives, Marcus's wisdom, broke him. The cartel's hack, its racist lie, Grant's attack, echoed every slur, every brick, every bomb, aimed at his blackness, his fight. He'd exposed Slade, jailed dozens, but the dome's flames burned hotter, a debt unpaid. He drove Tanya to Keisha's hotel, 15 miles, her silence heavy. The cartel's fall lifted his hub. Donors doubled, grants flooded. But Marcus's blood stained his hands. Isaiah parked, the city's pulse a dirge. He'd turned Blake's traps, Diane's laws, into ash. But the cartel's claws, Slade's, millions Gerald's hate, were Apex's ghost, racist to its roots. His phone glowed, news, ex-Apex staff leak cartel ties. Laura Vance's aides, bitter, named names, sealing Slade's fate. Isaiah's jaw locked, Marcus's voice, keep, building Zay, his guide. He'd saved his empire, his kin, but the war's cost was a scar and the fight wasn't done. Isaiah Grant sat in the motel's dim glow. Atlanta's midnight a restless hum beyond the cracked blinds. Marcus's bloodied face, his mentor, killed in the gala bombing, stained his mind. 20 lives lost, a wound deeper than Blake's, bullet graze or Tanya's bruises. The cartel's hack, leaking Grant Biotech's client data, had rocked his empire, but exposing Victor Slade's hate network, jailing dozens, had steadied it. Keisha's clinic, cleared of fraud lies, stood tall, yet the dome's flames, Blake's toxins, Diane's laws, all racist, all rooted in Brenda Holt's Get Lost, clawed at Isaiah's core. His hub, Apex's old tower, was rising, a black tech beacon, but grief for Marcus choked his air. He'd saved Tanya, Ruth, Devin, killed Apex, and he'd fight on or break trying. He stood, the motel's carpet worn under his boots, Tanya's steady breath from the cot grounding him. His laptop glowed, ghosts dropped cartel servers, cracked proving Slade's bomb plot. Isaiah had buried them, but Slade's allies lingered, shadows in Congress. He drove 15 miles to the hub, its glass now warm with new lights, labs buzzing, kids coding, Aisha's app live, Malik's bandages gone. At dawn, he called a press. Conference 30 floors up, cameras rolling, 10 million streaming. Grant Biotech's tech, he declared, voice like iron, goes open source today, gene editing for all, no gates, no greed. The crowd gasped, social media exploding, Grant freeze tech. Trending, 50 million posts. His stock soared, billions shared, a global quake. Hospitals, startups, nations scrambling for his code. The move was a sword. Slade's cartel, banking on biotech monopolies, crumbled, their offshore accounts frozen. 5 tycoons jailed by noon. Isaiah's hub drew thousands, donors flooding. Keisha's clinic rebuilt, its doors wide. He walked the tower's roof, Atlanta's skyline a canvas, feeling Marcus's hand, build, Zay, guiding him. Tanya joined, her jaw healed, eyes bright. You rewrote the game, she said, tablet showing stock charts spiking. Isaiah nodded, the city's pulse his own. Apex's grave was his throne. Blake cuffed, Diane done, Gerald's ring ash. He'd saved his kin, his empire, turned hate's fire into light. Victory, at last. Then Brenda Holt resurfaced, a ghost, with venom. At dusk, a deepfake hit. A global cyber attack, Isaiah's face claiming it, crashing bank grids, hospital servers, 10 nations' power. "I own you," it sneered, aired on every platform, 100 million views. News screamed, Grant Biotech's terror hack. Riots flared, 20,000 storming Atlanta's streets, targeting the hub, slurs reborn. Traitor, menace. Isaiah watched from the tower, his gut a furnace, Tanya's face pale. "It's Brenda," she said, tracing the code to a burner tied to Holt's old IP. Isaiah's fists balled, Brenda's sneer, "Get lost." Now a digital guillotine, racist to its core, framing his blackness as chaos, Apex's final claw. He sped 10 miles to a safe house, a brick shed, its air sour with mold. Tanya's laptop glowed. Ghost's trace. Brenda fired from Apex, now a cartel operative, Slade's pawn. Isaiah's rage surged, drowning grief. Brenda wasn't just bitter. She was hate's echo, Gerald's cash, Blake's bombs, Diane's laws, all aimed at his skin, his rise. He called Ghost, voice raw. "Get her server now." Ghost's reply pinged, cracked, logs incoming. Isaiah worked fast, pulling Brenda's chats, orders from Slade's allies, faking the hack to bury him. He uploaded to the Torch, Holt's cyber lie exposed. At midnight, 30 million views, riots slowing, banks rebooting, hospitals humming. The fallout was swift. Brenda Holt named in global hack trending, her face, once smug, now hunted, plastered online. Interpol raided her hideout 15 miles north, cuffs snapping. Her screams live-streamed, 10 million watching. Social media flipped, Grant cleared spiking, slurs fading, the hub's gates calm. Isaiah's stock roared back, donors doubling. His open-source move hailed. Nobel whispers, UN invites. He stood in the shed, its walls less a trap, Marcus's loss a fire driving him. He'd saved Tanya, Ruth, Devin, the hub, killed Apex, Diane's law, Gerald's ring, Blake's toxins, Slade's cartel, Brenda's lie. The world saw him, black, unbowed, a titan. But the cost lingered. He drove 20 miles to Keisha's clinic, its new bricks gleaming, kids laughing inside. Keisha met him, Devin at her side, her eyes soft. "You did it, Zay," she said, hugging him. Isaiah's throat caught, Marcus's absence, the gala's blood, Tanya's scars, Ruth's fear. He'd turned Apex's hate, Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, Blake's bombs, into ash. But each fight cost flesh, his kin's peace. The hub stood global, his tech free, but Slade's allies, unnamed, watched. Ghost's final drop hit, Congress logs, a racist plot to tax black firms led by Slade's shadow, Senator Claire Voss. Isaiah's jaw locked, Keisha's laugh his anchor. He'd won this war, but another loomed. He testified at 9 Capitol Hill, cameras flashing, 50 million streaming. "Voss's plot," he said, voice like granite, dropping Ghost's logs, emails, bribes, anti-black laws planned for years. The chamber froze, Voss's face ash, her allies named. 10 senators, 20 donors jailed by noon. Social media erupted. Grant ends hate trending, 100 million posts, protests outside Voss's office, 10,000 strong. Isaiah's hub drew nations, India, Nigeria, Brazil, coders flooding, his tech curing diseases, free. Keisha's clinic thrived, Devin coding apps, Ruth planting a new garden. Isaiah stood outside, DC's chill biting, feeling Marcus, "You built it, Zay." He'd rewritten history, turned Brenda's sneer into a global cry, but Voss's shadow lingered. A whisper of hate. He drove 15 miles to a safe house, Tanya waiting, her smile rare. "World's with you," she said, showing UN resolutions praising his tech. Isaiah nodded, the shed's air warm, but Brenda's deepfake, his face, a terrorist's, echoed every slur, every bomb, racist hate unbroken. He'd saved his empire. His kin exposed Voss, but the cost, 20 lives. Marcus's wisdom scarred him. His phone buzzed. Ghost. Voss's backers. Deeper. Moving. Isaiah's eyes burned, the city's pulse a challenge. He'd turned Apex's grave into light, but hate's roots ran deep and he'd cut them, or die trying. Isaiah Grant stood on the roof of his hub, the former Apex Dynamics Tower, Atlanta's skyline glittering like a promise kept. The hub buzzed below, labs alive with 1,000 coders, black innovators from Lagos to Oakland, their gene editing, apps born from his open-source gift, curing cancers in trials worldwide. Brenda Holt's deepfake, a global cyber attack pinned on him, lay crushed, her Interpol cuffs viral, Senator Claire Voss's racist plot jailed with 10 cronies. Isaiah's testimony, exposing their hate, had flipped Congress, his hub a UN. Model Keisha's clinic thriving, Devin coding, Ruth gardening anew. Yet Marcus's death, 20 gala lives lost, Tanya's scars and Blake's toxins burned, a racist gauntlet. Brenda's get lost its first jab, Gerald's cash, Diane's. Laws, Slade's bombs its claws. Isaiah's arm healed but tight flexed. He'd won, but hate's shadow lingered. The hub's opening a month ago drew presidents, tech lords, kids like Malik, now coding cures. Isaiah's tech, free to all, had sparked a revolution. Hospitals in Mumbai, startups in Nairobi, billions. Saved. Grant Biotech's stock soared, donors built wings in his name, Nobel whispers grew. He walked the roof's edge, Atlanta's July breeze warm. Tanya's laugh from yesterday's call grounding him. You changed the game, Zay, she'd said. Her bruises faded back at work. Isaiah's chest swelled. Slade's cartel was Ash, Apex's tower his, Blake jailed, Diane done, Brenda caught. He'd saved his kin, his dream, turned hate's fire into light. The world saw him, black, unbowed, a titan. Then the shadow struck, a betrayal deeper than bombs. At dawn, his phone screamed, Grant Biotech AI hacked, virus outbreak tied to hub. A rogue algorithm, his own design, had spiked insulin pumps in 10 cities, 5,000 sick, 10 dead. News roared, Grant's AI kills, his face, calm, framed, blamed. 50 million posts, murderer trending. Isaiah's knees buckled, the roof's gravel biting. His AI built to heal, now poisoned, a racist lie reborn, Brenda's sneer, Blake's toxins, Slade's claws, but worse. Tanya called, voice shaking. It's not us, Zay. Codes tampered, traced to Titan Sys. Isaiah's blood froze. Titan Sys, led by Lena Carver, his mentor since MIT, who'd praised his hub, dined with Ruth, called him son. He sped 15 miles to a safe house, a steel bunker, its air stale with betrayal. Tanya met him, laptop blazing, ghosts drop. Titan Sys logs, Lena's orders, rigging his AI to fail, framing it as black tech's flaw. Isaiah's gut churned, Lena's smile, her hand on his at graduation, now a knife. She'd joined. Slade's cartel, bankrolled by hate lords, aiming to crush his hub, his race, his legacy. Social media burned, ban Grant trending, riots at the hub's gates, 10,000 chanting slurs. His stock crashed 20%, Grant's pulled, UN talks paused. Lena's lie wasn't greed, it was erasure, a racist guillotine, cutting his blackness, his fight to dust. He worked fast, Tanya's eyes fierce beside him. Ghosts' logs, Lena's emails, bank wires proved her plot, tied to a hate cartel deeper than Slade's, funding anti-black laws globally. Isaiah's fingers flew, uploading to the torch, Titan Sys betrayal, racist plot exposed at noon, 100 million views. Lena's empire, 5 billion strong, tanked, her board jailed, stock zero by dusk. Protests flipped, Grant vindicated trending, 20 million posts, riots calming, the hub's gates quiet. Isaiah's AI was cleared, tampered code traced to Titan Sys servers, his tech safe curing again. Grant Biotech soared, donors back, UN calling. He stood, the bunker's chill fading, Lena's smile a ghost he'd buried, but the cost scarred. He drove 10 miles to Keisha's clinic, kids coding inside, Devin's app live. Keisha hugged him, her eyes wet. You're still here, Zay, she said, Ruth's garden blooming nearby. Isaiah's throat caught. Marcus's blood. Tanya's. Pain, the hub's poisoned pipes, 5,000 sick. He'd saved his empire, his kin, killed Apex, Brenda's lie, Blake's bombs, Diane's laws, Slade's cartel, Lena's betrayal, but each fight stole breath. His blackness a target, hate's claws unyielding. The hub stood global, his tech free, but Lena's knife, his mentor, his trust cut deepest, a racist wound no code could heal. He vanished at midnight, no trace, no call. Tanya searched, Ruth prayed, Devin coded, but Isaiah was gone, Atlanta's pulse his shroud. His phone left in the bunker held one post, viral by dawn. Respect isn't given, it's built. 150 million shares, no name, just truth. The hub roared on, Malik's cure, cancer, stage 4 beaten, live globally, a kid echoing Isaiah's start, 16 coding in a duplex. Social media chanted, where's Grant trending, nations watching, his shadow a spark. Lena's cartel was dust, her billions gone, but a new hate stirred. Ghost's last ping, deeper players, moving. Isaiah's hub shone, but his fight unseen burned on. The hub's roof, empty now, caught Atlanta's dusk, its labs below a beacon. India's coders, Brazil's apps, Nigeria's cures. Malik, 18, stood there, his cure patented, free, Isaiah's gift. He's out there, Malik told Aisha, her app saving lives. Tanya joined, her eyes scanning the skyline, Ruth's roses in her hand. Devin's code hummed, Keisha's clinic packed, the hub a UN seat. Isaiah's post, built, rang, a cry against Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, Blake's bombs, Lena's knife. His blackness, his fight, had flipped the world, but hate's roots ran deep, and he'd cut them, somewhere, silent. Isaiah Grant's saga teaches us resilience against systemic hate. His journey, sparked by a receptionist's racist dismissal, reveals how prejudice, personal or institutional, seeks to erase those who dare rise. Brenda's sneer, Gerald's cash, Blake's bombs, Diane's laws, and Lena's betrayal weren't just attacks. They were a gauntlet testing Isaiah's core. He didn't just endure, he transformed Apex's tower into a hub for black brilliance, proving that hate's barriers can be rebuilt as bridges. The first lesson is unyielding fight. Isaiah faced bricks, fires, and lies, yet each blow fueled his resolve, showing us that strength grows in the furnace of injustice. Second, trust's fragility. Lena's knife, a mentor's mask, cut deeper than Blake's bullets, teaching us to guard our circles but never stop believing in allies like Tanya, who stood firm. Third, legacy over vengeance. Isaiah's open source. Tech, freeing billions, wasn't revenge but a gift, a reminder that true power lifts others, not destroys. Finally, hate's persistence. Brenda's deepfake, Lena's hack, shows racism shapeshifts, demanding vigilance beyond one win. Isaiah vanished, his post, respect isn't given, it's built, a call to keep forging paths where none exist. His hub thrives, Malik's cure echoing his start, proving one spark can light a world. We learn to stand, rebuild, and share, no matter the cost. What would you do to turn hate into hope? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if justice moves you, subscribe for more stories of grit, and share to inspire change. Thanks for joining Isaiah's fight. Here's to building a world where respect is earned, not denied.